Hey guys, so check this out. So we've just had a whole bunch going on this past week. I have not been very good about adding pictures of anything because it's just been super busy. But we've had Dave out here with his excavator trying to get a lot of these water issues addressed. And Greg Corey's been here getting a whole bunch of masonry work done for us on the house, getting water moved away. And I'm just going to show you a few of the things that we have going on. Here's this thunderbolt chasing probably a squirrel or something. But one of the problems we had was our driveway had no drainage. So you can see, like where all these stones are, that's where our sand is washed out over time, where water just come down over this hillside because there's been no ditch. So we've got a pretty good sized little ditch up inside there. And then Dave opened this up quite a bit. All right, there's a little bit of standing water. There's a little bit of a hump there. I can always fill that in just a little bit with some crushed stone. But really, you can see a dip in the driveway where the tire ruts have been. And there's still a bit of a hump. The whole road itself is kind of in a bowl that we need to get addressed. And what we actually have to do is have this a dozer come in, grade that off, build up a crown. But now we have a place for the water to go to and get diverted. So it wasn't the first step. It just happens to be where I'm standing. But that's done. So then, I wish I had a before and after shot. But looking out across the farm, so right where that old horse-drawn sleigh is, over there, taller than that horse-drawn sleigh, and almost to the wood chips over there, was a gigantic pile of trash. Forks, bolts, metal, foam, old plastic, piping, saw blades, roller skates, just junk. So we got the dumpster. I still have to get the dumpster pulled out of here. But that's all been cleaned up. Every once in a while, stuff still kind of pokes up through. So I got to go over the whole thing with my magnet and try to pull up everything out of there. But that was cleaned out. Then the canoe sitting, there was a couple gigantic piles of slate, big pile of granite, a bunch of willows that kept growing up into the tree, into the power lines. And they just created a super massive pain when it came to plowing, and all the water in the land, kind of wanted to slope down towards the barn, which was a super pain. So we moved all the slate, big, huge piles of slate. Found, a handful of railroad ties. A couple were bolted together, used for grading the road years ago. Threw a bunch of rocks in the brush and the granite over into the woods. You can see a couple big chunks here and there, but not if I point at them. So that was nice. And then I'm doing this before I feed the pigs, and the chickens are probably getting all wound up at me. Being pretty quiet for now. And then this side of the building, on the barn, we actually dug out all the muck and all the topsoil, put in a bunch of stone for drainage. We actually wanted to extend it farther, but I've got the water lines run and the electrical lines run, and we hadn't gotten all the tall grasses cut back yet. Excuse me. And eventually, someday, we may put a small addition coming off the side of the barn just for equipment storage. Just an open-sided area just to keep the rain off of the equipment. I'll come through here. I'll come through later on this season, probably with some 3/4 crushed stone, and fill that in, level it up higher. But you can see how much it drops off on the end there. So we got to come across level. It's 2.5, 3 feet anyway of soil. Then we have to bring it out. So we have to move the whole fence line. We got to got some remodeling to do on that end. But it wasn't our biggest concern, right? Up here, most importantly, so we threw in this French drain, all the crushed stone you see in front of the barn. One of the big points of issue we had the last couple of years has been right in this corner down in here, where the water will just kind of pool up here and then go into the barn. So we went down, 8 inches or so, 3 feet wide, dug it all the way out, put in some pipes, fresh stone. Hopefully that's going to allow any residual water that gets to this point to get out of here and away from the barn, so it doesn't pool up, flood out the barn, flood out the store where we're trying to build this addition and get our kitchen and store going. So that may do it. After talk with some great folks at market and other folks, it seems like, why not? I mean, because if you've been following along, this whole barn was built in a low spot, the lowest spot almost in the land. I think you go down probably a foot and you hit the water table. Maybe a little bit lower, 18 inches or so, but it's not far down. So we got to work with what we've got. Then, right on a roll, aren't we? Then after we had that French drain, all the water coming off the house goes through the gutters, goes through a little gutter system, drains out here, drains away from the house. But there's still that's high ground up there. So everything that comes down hits this little diverter, not sure what the hell we're going to call it, culvert, ditch, drain of sorts, where it can flow out. You know, there's a high point. If you follow along here, last summer I spent forever freaking with the chop saw cutting this granite that was way out to here. So what we'll do is make like a subtle grade where it can drain off, and once it gets about into this neighborhood, you know, it's all sloped down. It can slope off, go way out to the swamp, and just be gone. So again, I'm going to come back through here with a bunch of 3/4 inch crushed stone, fill that in so it's kind of smooth. I'm going to have some issues when it comes to plowing, so we'll probably look at doing maybe having to get a snow plow through here, snow blower through here. It's just going to pull up all those stones. Here, you know, we get this ridiculous kind of slope. Just a whole bunch of like little issues. You can see those drain pipes there. Well, down about 12 inches or so is ledge, solid ledge. So you can only dig so far, and you can only remodel the earth so much. And then finally, Dave, well, before I go too far, you can almost see from here, here's kind of a decent little angle, where this corner of the store where we're building is kind of that lowest spot, and we kind of have to have the water, the ground, oriented such that when the water comes down, it just diverts both this way and across the face of the barn, right? So we're trying to like make it go around. And once it kind of gets past there, like once it gets down to here, you know, the water gets down to here, it just flows no big deal, you know, because there's a natural berm where it comes down off of the face of the building, and the same thing on the front. But it's just that one real point, that one real corner where it's not so much during the summertime, but especially come winter when the ground freezes up a little bit. And there's if we can't get to the snow and it gets packed and becomes ice, and there's the potential for like a rainstorm in the fall or in the spring, when the ground's frozen, for that water to dam up and then make its way in. So hopefully, you know, we'll probably keep it salted and sanded this winter, so it's at least enough where the water can trickle out and get away. At least that's the plan anyway. So anyway, back down to over here. We got to grade this out a little bit, but we had all the topsoil, everything, the clay, the sand, stones, rocks, trees, whatever we could find, went into this massive Hyuga culture. So the interior is nothing but earth, and I mean, it's super wet through here. We got a couple pallets to pick up, but all the stumps we've been yanking out over the property are buried in there. So of course this side is kind of a mess. Can't really do too much about that. Maybe in August when things dry out, I get down inside there, it'll be drier. I mean, you can see, if you look closely, unless I mess this up, right there are cattails. You know, you could almost have like a little pond there if you opened it up. Dug a little ditch. So I'm gonna let this collapse. It'll break down over the next several years. We'll probably plant something in it. Strawberries, blueberries. I really like blueberries. Pumpkins. If it stays, I know everybody says you shouldn't put apple trees or fruit trees on top of your Hyuga mound. But if it's this flat, I don't know. Right through the sides. I haven't decided yet. I guess we're not done yet, are we? At some point in the future, we're going to have... I'll be able to drive my equipment through the barn. That was the original intention. So we put a bunch of old concrete slabs and some old gravel and try to smooth that area out around... Whoops, geez, I'm leaving the camera. Around our leach field for the store, where the road may potentially go eventually. We weren't able to get down into this trail. We have a trail that goes down around the Hyuga culture, way down by that apple tree down there. Goes around, and it's a super, super, super muck hole. It's absolutely awful to try to go through. It's great if you want to go mudding, but if you're actually just trying to go back to do anything constructive, it's pretty worthless and aggravating. Oh, it's the Mason's ladders. Jeez, I guess we did a lot of stuff last week. I was meant to post pictures of things we were doing just as we were doing them, but man, it was like it's just constantly racing around. So to get past that, there we were. We had a trail that came down through, essentially on that tree line, down the corner. I don't know if you can see out through the woods there. It's Larry and Martha's flowage. But where all the stacked wood is, and our nice big apple tree, there's a trail that runs right. So instead, Dave cut us in a brand new trail. Old skater trail, just cleaned up all the stumps so we can actually get back there now. All the way up through some dry ground on a contour where it's all thin ledge, oaks, real woodsy soils, nothing wet at all. So now we can get out back and access that portion of the property much easier. That's been about it. So it's getting there. So some of the big earthwork projects for this year are now done. Hopefully, I don't need any more of those. So the kind of plan going forward is, now that we've hopefully addressed some of these water issues, is to start getting this store framed in. If we can get the store framed in this summer, that means I've got all winter to get insulation, electrical, wiring, plumbing, decorating, interior, all that good stuff. But the biggest hang up now is I can't do anything else inside. Because there is no inside. We've got the second bay that we're going to be working on over here, over here. But when this old galvanized aluminum roof is going to come off, regular deck plywood sheathing, OSB sheathing, zip system, whatever, is going to be going up there. And then new walls will come up, and a new roof will tie into that new roof. It'll be like some, I don't know if I can do this, something along those lines. This is pretty horrible. But the addition roof will tie into the new roof, and you just can't tie into that metal. You have something solid up there, so that's going to be torn off. So once I tear that off, if we get into a situation where the rain just shows up randomly, because this has been a super wet year that it seems relentless, and wants to just keep raining every time we turn around. I don't want insulation or anything on the interior of this other wall, because it could just get wet and we need it to have a chance to dry out. So everything's kind of just at a standstill until we have a shell. Once we have a dry shell, I could come out here for a couple hours. Instead of doing this video, I could come out here for a couple hours this morning and put down some insulation or some wiring or what have you. But everything's been happening in steps, and the water and all this groundwork's been a big one. So now that we've finally got that addressed, hopefully that's the end of the problems. I mean, really, we'll tell here in the winter, once things freeze up. Oh, you know what? I'll just show you this French drain really quick too. So, you see our 4-inch pipe coming out? It's first attempt at getting the majority of water diverted away from the front of this barn. There's a nice little grate on it the whole way through. And you just see, this high ground up there. So that water just wants to flow in here. And like I was saying, the whole driveway needs to be overhauled. So, there's just it's a bowl everywhere you look. What we need to do is have, probably next year, the year after, a crew come in with their dozer, grade the whole thing, re-level the whole thing, bring soil, and talking about rain, and here it goes. So, that's it for now. We're making progress, slowly, trying to fix these basic drainage issues. I don't know how the light's going to be in here. Probably horrible. That's it. As we go into July, hopefully we can start tackling this roof and get it done before things freeze up on us again and snow starts flying. But the way it's been this year, it's just been non-stop rain. So we'll see. So that's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.